My fear wasn't there to stop me or to put me in that panic mode, but it was there to help me pause and notice what was going on so it could redirect me back to what matters and what needed to be addressed.
Welcome to Intuition Unlocked, the podcast empowering empathic women who feel misunderstood, overwhelmed, or disconnected from their intuition, begin to trust their sensitivities, find inner clarity, and show up with embodied, unstoppable confidence in their daily lives. I am your host, Olivia Ashley, an empath and intuitive, and I am so happy you're here.
Hello, dear friend. Welcome in. Today I'm diving into something that has been sitting on my heart, something that I see touches every one of us, no matter how aware, grounded, or intuitive we might be, and that's feeling fear. But not the kind of fear that's about real danger or being in harm's way. What I'm talking about is the quiet, persistent kind. The kind that shows up as overthinking, anxiety, overwhelm, procrastination, or that deep freeze in your body when you just can't move forward, even on the things you want to do, and probably especially on the things you want to do. It's that sense of spinning your wheels, feeling stuck, unsteady, emotional, or like your system just can't regulate. But underneath it, there's often something real, valid, and calling for your attention. So that's what I want to explore. And recently, I found myself deep in this space of feeling fear, and it took a while to understand that that was what I was experiencing. I was struggling to be an active participant in my day. No matter how much I tried or what I was attempting to do, I felt like the hours kept flying by and my exhaustion kept creeping in, and I was left feeling never fully settled, like I couldn't leave my day feeling fulfilled or like I did what I needed to do or supported everyone I needed to support. And I started to feel this heavy, suffocating thought running through my mind when I really poked at what is underneath everything that is going on. And it was that I'm failing everyone, this fear that I'm failing. And this was coming up because I felt like between the many roles I hold, the people who lean on me, the endless to-dos, and only having 10 and a half weeks until my baby's due date, I started to feel like no matter what I did, it just wasn't enough. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. I'm not able to hold others the way I typically can, that I just am barely holding myself. And that's when my body was shifting into this panic mode. I don't think I was even consciously aware that I felt like I was failing everyone and that this fear was what was really motivating this panic inside. But it created this very real inner crisis that I built up in my mind and my body where I just wanted to implode, to step away, to shut everything down because I felt so overwhelmed. Yet I finally got to the place where I knew I could not keep pushing forward or pretending that this feeling wasn't there. So I took a moment when I was in my car driving alone and I sat with that fear. I really asked it to come forward, feel into all those emotions that were coming with it, and said, what's underneath this? And what came forward was not that I was weak or lazy or even really that I was failing. It was anger. I had this deep, fiery rage within me because I wasn't actually doing what I knew I needed to do. I wasn't giving myself the time, space, or care that my body, my intuition, my soul, my baby is needing from me at this time because I'm prioritizing all the other things I feel I need to get done. And yet I was struggling just to even get those done. I was struggling to take care of myself. And I absolutely was not giving myself the time, space that my soul and my body are craving. And so this fear, this heat, this rage even that, again, I was not even aware was sitting inside of me was fueling this day-to-day discomfort, this fear of failure, and this panic in this freeze mode that I've been sitting in. So it was really interesting to see that because I was not tending to the things that nourish me, my creative work, my relationships, preparing for this baby, the things that really make me feel good and alive, that I manifested this anger and this fear. Fear that if I slow down, I'd lose momentum or let people down. Fear that I was letting people down, that I couldn't respond to my friends or be there for their needs because I couldn't even take a moment or take a breath to step away from my desk or be in my body and space. And fear that my worth was tied to how much I was producing, honestly. And I was just feeling this anger and overwhelm because I couldn't get to the other side. So with this understanding that I uncovered within myself, I started to shift. I asked what I could do to help frame my days, frame my thoughts, support myself, and make a change in my day-to-day to help reprioritize me and my needs before I step into all the other things I need to get done, so that anger and that rage can be calmed. I can show myself that I'm showing up for me. I'm doing the things I actually feel I need to do and want to do before everything else. So I started prioritizing me, my family, and the little things that feed my energy. And this didn't mean I stopped all the other things I need to do on a day-to-day basis. It meant that I got up a little earlier. I made more intentional time and space to carve out for the things I really felt I wanted to focus on and get done before I stepped into my day. I prioritized making sure I had the time and the focus and the space to check off one or two boxes that I've been sitting on or feeling like I just couldn't get to, or responding to messages of people who I care for that I just have let sit because I feel too overwhelmed to do so. And with that whole experience, and why I wanted to bring this forward to this community, is because I realized that the discomfort I was feeling, the fear that I was generating, and the panic and freeze and procrastination that was happening, it wasn't a breakdown or a fault in me inherently or my life and my choices so much as it was a message. It was really a signal that something in me was not feeling aligned, that I was misprioritizing aspects of my life, and that my fear wasn't there to stop me or to put me in that panic mode, but it was there to help me pause and notice what was going on so it could redirect me back to what matters and what needed to be addressed. And that's what I see fear really trying to do for each of us. It's here to help make sure that you are aware of where things have gotten off track in your life. It's your body and your soul signaling that something needs attention and support in that area that you're feeling and witnessing it. But it's easier said than done, especially if you're not even fully aware that fear is taking place, that you're responding in a fear state. And it can be easy to shame yourself, to say, I must be the problem. I'm not enough. I'm not doing the right things. But in reality, that freeze and that fear response isn't a flaw. It's your body's intelligent response trying to protect you. And it's not just emotional. It might feel very emotional or come forward in that way, but it affects you physically, mentally, and spiritually as well. So to help land this even further, I want to look at fear through 3 different lenses: the body, the mind, and the soul, because I think understanding it from these 3 aspects can help you move through it instead of fighting against it. So first, let's look at it from the body lens. Fear lives in the body first. It's part of the same system that drives fight or flight, and it's connected to your nervous system. When your brain perceives a threat, even if it's not a tiger chasing you, but it's a looming deadline, a conflict, or a never-ending to-do list, your nervous system reacts. And if fighting or fleeing do not feel possible, you freeze. And studies have shown that this freeze response is very real, that even when people simply face emotional or social stress, it can activate this fight, flight, freeze response. Your heart rate slows, your muscles tense, and the body becomes still. It's your body saying, if I pause long enough, maybe I'll be safe. But in reality, much of what we are facing day to day as women and as humans in our cultures and societies with our work and to-dos are things that we cannot run from, that we can't flee from. And so our main response is to freeze, is to say, if I just step away from this or don't look at it, then it's going to get better. But in reality, that actually does not help us. And when that pattern becomes chronic, when your daily stress, over responsibility, or emotional exhaustion keep triggering this, it can feel like you're living half frozen all of the time. The body starts to hold that tension as fatigue, anxiety, or emotional instability. So the first truth I want you to remember is this: your freeze is not failure. It's protection, and it's your nervous system asking for regulation, not punishment from yourself. Now let's move to the mind lens. Here we see that fear also operates in the mind. Psychologists talk about something called the looming effect, where our minds exaggerate threats that feel uncertain. When you believe something might go wrong, your brain makes it feel bigger and closer than it really is. So what happens with that? You overthink, you imagine every possible outcome, and you can shut down because action feels unsafe. And usually, though, that fear has roots. It can be in old beliefs or stories or experiences we picked up along the way, such as, I'll disappoint people, I'm not enough, if I rest, I'll fall behind. Yet these are the stories that keep the freeze state locked in place. But when you start seeing them just as old programming that can be addressed and changed and you actually have power, you can start asking yourself, is this fear or that root of this fear actually true for me now? Is that a real truth or something that my ego has created as a story to protect myself? And I have a choice to rewire and reset that story. So the question alone can begin to melt the freeze or give you the space to inquire more deeply why that's coming forward. The last lens is the soul lens. From a spiritual and intuitive lens, fear is not an enemy. I see it as a messenger. It's an inner alarm that something is out of resonance with your truth. Sometimes that means you're not listening to your inner guidance and taking the actions that you really feel you want to or keep coming forward. Sometimes it means a part of you is trying to be heard, the part that feels unseen, unprotected, or unloved, and it's wanting tending to. So when you feel that freeze, instead of running from it, you can ask, what are you trying to tell me? What needs to be seen or healed here? What message have I been receiving that maybe I have not been listening to? Can you share it with me again and send me signs to help me remember? Often, fear is going to be an invitation to help bring you back into greater alignment, back into your own authority, worth, and rhythm. And when you recognize this, you can become more empowered and powerful to shift your state, to tend to what's needed, and find yourself back in a space of confidence and movement versus freezing and spiraling. And there's no need to shame yourself or feel guilty. It can feel absolutely hard to be in this state or feel fear and just feel frozen. But I promise you, you have an ability to shift perspective, change the tune, and you can get support to do so if you need it. And what I want to offer you are 3 ways that you can start to move from this fear with more compassion and curiosity to help you bring this from insight into embodiment. The first tool is having gentle inquiry, really a curiosity practice. So the moment you notice yourself freezing, pausing, or avoiding, take a breath. And instead of judging it, get curious. You can ask yourself questions such as, what is really happening here? What is under the surface? What am I afraid might happen if I take this step? And what is this fear trying to protect me from? You can write these out and journal on them. You can speak them out loud. You can go for a drive and just feel into all of this. Again, for me, when I asked what's underneath this overwhelm that I was feeling, what surfaced wasn't that fear of failure as much as it was an emotion of anger and unmet needs. But that awareness alone helped me begin to shift it. But I had to get curious. I had to get willing to move through the emotions and look at what was underneath there. And curiosity brings light into the places fear hides. It turns that fear from an enemy into a teacher. You stop pressing up against it and start giving it space to be seen and felt and released or worked with. The second tool is moving the body out of freeze. Because we know that fear lives in the body, you need to have practices to move it through it. And so this can look like so many different ways. It could be a run, a dance, a stretch, something that gets your heart rate up, your breath lengthening, and you back into your body. If you think about how animals, when they move through the fight, flight, freeze response, shake after, that's their method of releasing that energy and calming their nervous system down back into regulation. Humans don't necessarily do that. And that's where I see movement in any form really being helpful. Here's one simple practice you could try. When you feel yourself tighten or shut down or be in the midst of this fear response, pause. Notice your feet on the ground. Maybe stand up and stretch your arms above your head and let your breath lengthen, especially the exhale. And then you can gently shake your hands out, your arms out, roll your neck and shoulders, move your arms and legs, and just anything to invite movement and signal safety and reset to your nervous system. These small actions tell your nervous system, I'm safe to unfreeze. I'm safe to move from this freeze back into regulation. And this doesn't need to be a forced practice. Just release. Let the energy begin to move and know that your body and your field will do the rest. Listen to what your body is asking for. It might be more intense movement or more gentle movement and connection. So respond in whatever way that you feel pulled to. The last tool, tool 3, is realignment. So acting from what truly matters. Once the freeze begins to soften, clarity emerges. And this is where you can start to take aligned action, which are small intentional steps towards what your soul has been whispering. So to help yourself, you can ask, what truly matters to me right now? What am I avoiding that actually wants my attention? And how can I support myself in doing that? Then choose one thing. Maybe it's calling a friend, prioritizing rest, or starting that project to keep postponing. Take one action, not to prove your worth, but to reclaim your direction, your sovereignty, and your confidence to show yourself you are capable of listening and being there for yourself. Because when fear meets aligned action, you reteach your body that you're safe and can move. And the more often you do that, the more often you overcome that freeze response, that you step into action, the more your nervous system learns, I can actually trust myself here to take the steps or the action on what I'm sensing to support myself. So I hope at least one of these 3 tools feels supportive to you. And if so, start finding ways to integrate it into those moments when you feel your fear peaking. Also, if you're listening and recognizing yourself in this conversation, pause and take a breath with me right now. Place a hand on your heart if you can. Feel your body and your breath. Be here in this moment. Note that you don't have to fix it all today. Just seeing it with compassion is the first step, and you're never alone in this journey. So give yourself love, send yourself strength, and give yourself space to feel whatever you need to feel. Remember that fear isn't always saying stop. Sometimes it's saying listen. Sometimes it's saying feel into this more. Sometimes it's saying I need more action or something else. Whatever it's guiding you toward is what's ready to shift within you. So I want to leave you with this. Fear loses its power the moment you start listening. The freeze can melt away when you stop fighting yourself and begin meeting what's underneath it with love. And that might take time, and it might take hard work or a lot of emotions to move through, but you are worthy and ready to do that. Because I promise on the other side, you will find a sense of freedom and empowerment. You're not broken or behind or missing something. just because you might freeze or feel fear. It means you're human, you're sensitive, and you're beautifully wired to survive. And every time you meet that fear with curiosity and courage, you reclaim a piece of your power. So this week, I invite you to notice where you've been holding back or feeling fear. And instead of forcing or avoiding, can you listen? Can you ask what wants to be known? Can you move your body some and help shift the energy and breathe a little bit more deeply, trusting that your intuition and your inner wisdom know exactly how to guide you through it? Thank you so much for being here, for showing up, and for doing the inner work with me. I'll see you next week for another episode of Intuition Unlocked. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show and show your gratitude by leaving a rating and review. And until next time, please be gentle with yourself and remember, fear is often the doorway to your next becoming.
Thank you for joining me on Intuition Unlocked. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of insight, guidance, or intuitive inspiration. To dive deeper into our community and get access to exclusive content, head to my website at www.olivia-ashley.com and subscribe to my newsletter. You can also connect with me on Instagram at wildlyolivia for daily inspiration and updates. Remember, your intuition is your superpower. Trust it, nurture it, and let it guide you. Until next time, I'm Olivia Ashley, and I can't wait to connect with you again.